Another day, another game studio shut down. Herman Hulst is getting hate from everywhere, as people weren't expecting the news that Bluepoint, the studio behind the remakes of Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus, is being shut down. People are blaming the misdirection of Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst, especially with the live service focus PlayStation Studios pushed for this console generation. Going project after project, chasing that Fortnite money, wasting billions of dollars, time, and talent on what now looks like a crazy gamble. Yesterday, a report began circulating that Bluepoint Studios was going to be shut down. It spread really fast. People couldn't believe it was actually true. How could it be that Bluepoint, a successful studio that brought acclaimed remakes to modern consoles, would be shut down out of nowhere? Especially being a smaller studio, with around 80 people, as some reports say. So, why would that happen? First, there's the fact that Bluepoint shifted from creating single-player games and remakes to working on a live service God of War project, as reports mentioned at the end of 2024. And at the time, people were furious. While fans were hoping and honestly expecting them to be working on the mythical Bloodborne remake, this news broke a lot of hearts. Not to mention the many long-forgotten Sony franchises that could have been brought back to life with full remakes. The live service push started to look like an insane strategy. And it wasn't just Bluepoint. So many single-player studios were pushed to pivot away from what they were known for, what they were good at. Naughty Dog, for example, canceled their multiplayer The Last of Us project after realizing it would consume all of their talent and make it impossible to work on anything else. A clear indicator of misdirection from PlayStation Studios. Right after the news about Bluepoint's closure, a message from Herman Hulst himself was posted. He confirmed and justified the decision by saying that rising production costs, changes in player behavior, and slower industry growth were some of the factors behind shutting down the studio. He then finished by saying he's confident in the direction they're headed for, that fiscal year 2026 has a robust roadmap with a lot to look forward to. And that statement made people even more angry, because many believe mismanagement, greedy decisions, and being out of touch are the real reasons this console generation has taken so long to deliver new games. We all understand that the cost of living has skyrocketed in recent years, making studios more expensive to maintain. But the amount of money wasted on the live service push, that's what many see as the real issue. As news of another studio closure broke, people also started pointing out that games like Fair Games $, are still in active development, a project with very low reception so far, and one many expect will struggle in the current industry climate. Another example is Horizon Hunter's Gathering, another Horizon franchise spin-off that moves away from what fans of the series are used to. Most people would rather see a proper sequel to the main series than another live service experiment. And from a consumer perspective, it's hard to see where this makes sense. After billions wasted, they're choosing to close studios that would likely make more money. It feels unbelievable. Now, I have a few theories about why these decisions are being made. The first one is obvious. They're still trying to find that one live service game that brings in billions for years, like Fortnite and others. They're slowing down, yeah. They're choosing what they think are the safest bets, but they're still following that same idea. In the corporate world, growth is everything. And no model brings more recurring revenue than a successful live service game. The problem with that is there are already too many of them, and people have less and less time to play. They take this for granted, but time is the most valuable resource people have. Not to mention competition from social media and short-form content. These games aren't just competing with each other, they're competing with TikTok, with Instagram. Algorithms are designed to be addictive. They steal more and more of people's time every day. So, the message inside corporate gaming becomes clear. Make more money with fewer games and more of people's attention. Another reason for closing Bluepoint, in my opinion, is profit margins, of course. If PlayStation still wants remakes, they may start outsourcing them instead of keeping in-house studios. With rising development costs and the success of games like Black Myth Wukong, which analysts say cost between $40 and $70 million to make. Executives look at that and compare it to the reported $300 million for Spider-Man 2, and they start asking questions. It makes sense that they look at those numbers and try to figure out how to replicate that efficiency. But realistically, in the current Western AAA structure, that's extremely difficult. The problem is that they didn't think this through when they aggressively acquired the studios to build trillion-dollar live service projects. They believed the high production costs would pay off. They thought players around the world would open their wallets for all these splendid experiences. But since that strategy largely collapsed, we're now 6 years into this generation with relatively few high-quality AAA releases and lower player trust in the industry. So maybe this explains why they're closing studios and potentially shifting development to more cost-efficient partners. Studios like Virtus, for example, operate globally, often in regions with lower costs of living, making development cheaper overall. This is speculation on my side, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more projects handled by external partners, almost undoing what PlayStation did when it went on its acquisition spree. And it's hard not to feel sad, or even angry. We love games. We want our favorite franchises treated with care. We want quality releases. But executives operate on a different logic. Inside investor circles, there's this belief that chasing trends and investing more money into them is what keeps the industry big. Better graphics, more content, more scale, more everything. But what really makes games successful is actually different. It's innovation, risk, player-focused decisions. It's not about giving us everything we ask for, of course. It's about not telling us what we're supposed to want. Games aren't commodities. They're not factory products that you design once and replicate infinitely for eternal growth. They require talent, creativity, freedom. Spreadsheets don't create masterpieces. It's sad to see where parts of the AAA industry have gone to. But there is a bright side to it. We're seeing more and more great games coming from all directions. Access to development tools has never been easier. And that lower entry point will push the industry to correct itself. It will force change. It will move things away from this purely corporate-driven direction. And that has already begun. So that's what I have to say for now. Let's see what happens next. Let me know what you think about all of this. What are your expectations for the future of AAA gaming? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep talking. Let's keep pushing for a better industry for all of us. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.